Assalamu alaikum. So welcome to the Muslim Entrepreneur Podcast. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be jumping in inshallah and just kicking off. And in fact, we do have a very interesting topic today that we're going to be talking about, which is all about how to develop a warrior mindset that's going to help you crush your goals. So what is going to happen is that we're going to I'm going to take over. I'm going to take over and I'm actually going to talk to you about something that has been on my mind and my heart for a while, and you've probably seen it within my Facebook posts and things like that I've been doing. For those of you that have been following my posts, you know that I'm currently going through a transformation. I made a decision straight after Ramadan that I'm gonna go through a transformation in my health. This is an area that I really wanted to excel in. I had literally been training for 6, 7, 8 years, and I was getting personal trainers, going gym, but I never really made a decision to make it a lifestyle for me. And this is what I'm going to be going through with you today. And the reason why is because what I'm going through now will affect any other area of your life, an area of my life, right? So in regards to my business strategies and my mindset and all the things that I'm going through from a business perspective, what I'm going through in my health is the same thing, right? And some people say the way you do something is the way you do everything. So it's a really, really powerful thing to analyze yourself in that way. I want everyone to really take a moment and think about 4 areas of their life. You've got your family, you've got your deen, you've got your finance, and you've got your health, right? So what I'm going to really be talking about is my journey with you from a health perspective, but I'm going to be looking at the bigger picture and actually looking at, for example, the financial element and things like that. So let me just start off by just kind of diving into why I started this journey, in which I call from transforming into a princess to a warrior, right? And a lot of people laugh when I say that. It's a very funny thing. How was I a princess and how can I become a warrior? And what I'm talking about here is all from a mindset perspective. And the reason why I'm saying this, and I'm going to be very, very open with you, which is that throughout my life, I've been a big princess, okay? And I've developed as a princess because of the surroundings that been brought up in. I actually had 4 older sisters, right? I have 4 older sisters, alhamdulillah, right? So I have 4 older sisters, and because of that, I've got a bit of a feminine side. So those that know me know I do some really dodgy stuff sometimes, like sit on brothers' laps and weird stuff and flirt with brothers, yeah? As a joke, obviously. But the point being is, I joke around, and not just that, whenever I'm trying, I realize that whenever there's a situation where I'm, in some sort of danger, because I drowned twice, right, when I was first ever tried to swim. So I always had a fear of drowning. I've always had a fear of spiders and things like that. And it's funny because it's always kind of stopped me doing things, right? But that just kind of became a bit of a character for me, in the sense that I became somebody that was averse to danger, right? Not really pushing myself or taking myself out of my comfort zone, essentially. Sorry. So I realized this when I went to the $1 billion mastermind, which is run by Mirza. Now, the type of characters that are there are amazing. Obviously, some of the most successful entrepreneurs are in this very elite mastermind. But I realized, a part of their mindset was just going out there and just being crazy and just really getting them out of their comfort zones. And I was sitting there worrying about spiders and they, and whatnot, and they just made fun of me like I act like a princess, right? So, one of the guys there called me a princess, and that's where it kind of started from. And I realized that a lot of these guys were really built, they're very manly, muscular, and I was I felt a sense of, what's the word? I'm not on that level type of thing. So basically, I made a decision that's it. You know what? I'm going to transform myself physically and from a mindset perspective, more from a princess of always being worried and scared about every little thing, into being a warrior, right? Now, the question really is, what is a warrior mindset and why is it important? In fact, the first thing I want to ask is, why is it important to develop a warrior mindset? Now, I think it was... what's his name? I forgot. I think the guy who the guy who set up, what's that car, that electric car? It's out of my head right now. Elon Musk, I think it was him, who basically says that when he looks at business, he looks at it as war, right? And this is a very, very powerful way to look at it. And I realized that a lot of successful people, when business and entrepreneurs, they see business as a war, right? And I realized that's exactly what it's like. Business is war, right? And either you're gonna jump into this war like a princess, or you're gonna jump in like a warrior. And what is the mindset of a warrior? Mindset of a warrior is that whenever I'm gonna jump into a business or something like that, I'm gonna dominate. I'm gonna destroy everyone, right? Now, I'm not saying it in a literal way. I'm saying it in a positive way, right? In the sense that you're gonna try the best. You're gonna do more than anyone else, any of your competitors. And this is the main thing. The work ethic needs to be better than anyone else's, right? I realize that is a big part when it comes down to having that warrior mindset. But what I really realized, it's not really about becoming big and bulky or anything like that. It is all about a mindset thing. And there was an analogy, or I think it's actually a true story, where an army went out to a battle, right? And what the soldier did, or the sergeant, when he got to the island where they were about to have the battle, he told the people, the army, the soldiers, to destroy their ships. Now you think, why the hell would this army general tell all the soldiers to destroy the ships? But it was really powerful, and the reason why is because what would happen when they destroyed their ships? There's no way back. There's no way coming back. So either now they're about to go into battle, their only option is fight or die, right? The option of going back and getting security isn't even there anymore. And I realized that, put yourself in the shoes of a warrior, a real warrior that's going out in the battlefield. Imagine the mindset that they have to develop. It's not a mindset of, let me just make some money or dominate a market niche or something like that, right? It's a matter of life and death. Now, if you can get to some level where when you're trying to achieve a goal, to you, it's like life and death. Imagine the results that you're going to put yourself in through. Okay, mashallah, some people, heard that story. It was the Muslims when they arrived in Spain, Tariq ibn Ziyad, who did that, I think, from Zunayd Karim. So my point being is, I realized that a lot of it is a mindset. Now, for me, how can we apply this in the real world, right? Now, let me just go back to my journey in my health and fitness. As you know, alhamdulillah, I've been going down this journey to really, just completely transform my health. The first thing for me was about making a decision. I as mentioned, honestly, I believe somebody's life can be changed within a second. Like, if you honestly want to change your life, make a committed decision. And in one of my posts, that when I made a decision, I was like, khalas, it's done, right? And for me, integrity is huge. When I say something is done, it means it's done, right? It's like it's gonna get done, yeah? I've made the decision, now I'm gonna go 100% in, yeah? I don't say done unless I know it's gonna get done. And I knew what I was gonna put myself into some level with this health and fitness. It was huge, it was a big decision. But like I said, it was a thing for me that it was gonna become a lifestyle for me. That was the decision I made. And for those of you that are in the business realm or something, if you're in the business realm, for example, and you're not being successful, or you haven't really, you've dabbled around here and there, have you really truly made the decision that that's it, done? I'm not gonna quit until this income that I'm gonna be able to generate is gonna mean that I'm gonna have enough to not work ever again, okay? Honestly, it starts with a decision. Like, I remember when I started my entrepreneurial journey, I literally was on a high mountain, not a mountain, a hill called Box Hill, and I made the decision there, and I made sincere dua that Allah, this is what I want, please open the door for me, this is what I'm gonna achieve, right? So making a decision is a key element. Once you made the decision, the second thing is you need some sort of guidance on how to get that result, right? How to achieve that result. And from a fitness perspective, getting a personal trainer is amazing. Like, you know, my personal trainer that I have now, is fantastic, right? And I tell you why. I said to him, you know, let me start, you know, I'll train 3 times a week. He goes, listen, if you want to get the results you want, you have to train every single day. And I was like, I looked at him, I was like, done, right? And he always pushes me. Like today, he was away for 2 weeks. I had a different trainer, and my body fat percentage, it was about 22% to 20%. And last time I checked, it was 18.2%, right? And he was away for 2 weeks. I was carrying on my diet, my training, and I checked it today after 2 weeks. And my body fat percentage went down to 17.6, right? And that was actually really upsetting for me, because I only lost like 0.6%, which in 2 weeks for me wasn't good enough. And he said to me, listen, I don't know what you did in that 2 weeks. What you need to do, you know, you're training every day pretty much other than the weekend. You know, you're doing some cardio. What I want you to do is come early in the morning and do another 40 minutes cardio before you even eat your breakfast, right? And they showed that, you know, if you do cardio before you eat breakfast, it shreds even more. And I was like, this guy's crazy, yeah? He's like, I'm already struggling doing 20 minutes after my workout, after an hours of workout, and he's telling me to come early in the morning, like 6, 7 o'clock, to do 40 minutes. And I looked at him and I said, done, let's do it, right? So the point being is that, you know, the first thing was about deciding. Number 2 was about finding the strategy and some sort of mentor or some sort of guidance, whether it be a program or a mentor or whatever it is, to learn the results that you want. And this is number 3, is where the warrior mindset really kicks in, right? What I realized is that I looked at the gym. When I look at the gym, I look at it as I'm going to destroy it, yeah? Like when I step into the gym, my mindset, my frame of mind is different. When I'm holding these dumbbells in my hands and I'm pushing it and I'm like, come on, right? And I'm getting to the limit where I'm about to fail. Do you know what I imagine? I imagine the dumbbells are lollipops, right? I imagine they're like lollipops with like round, you know, lollipops on both sides. And it's like I'm pushing lollipops. And I'm like, I'm going to destroy these lollipops, and I'm crushing it, right? And in other words, I changed my mindset. I'm like, you know, I'm going to do like, you know, today I had a leg day. I was like, before I even started, I was like, I'm going to destroy my legs today in a positive way, obviously, right? Because obviously when you destroy it, it becomes stronger and bigger. But the point being is that when I'm in the gym now, it's like war. It's like, I'm going to push myself to the max, yeah? I'm going to give my all out. And trust me, like, you know, I remember the first time when I started going and I did my leg day. Leg day is the most difficult. And I was crushing my leg. I was tired. I was out of it. And my trainer gave me the biggest, most difficult exercise to do. He gave the most difficult exercise where like you get like this, you know, a big kind of step, and I have to pick myself up and down and lift myself up. And it was so difficult. I'm like, I literally said to him, I can't do it. And he goes, you've put it in your mind that you can't do it already when you haven't even tried. And he goes, do you know what I do? When I know that, you know, this is going to be the most difficult thing at the end, you know, and I was saying to him, you know, I said, how many sets do I have to do? He's like, I have to do this 3 times. I was like, can I just do it once or twice? He goes, do you know what? When I know something's going to be difficult, I overdo it. I said, I'm going to do 4 sets. And I say, you know, I said to him, can I do, you know, 5 reps instead of 10? He goes, I'll try to do 15. He pushes his mindset to go beyond that. And I was like, that's it, I'm going to do it. Right? I said, you know what, all right, I'm going to crush it. And I did. I managed to do it. The point being is that I limited my own mind at that point. I made a limit in my mind that I can't do something. And a really good example of this is the flea example. If you've ever seen how to train fleas, it's very interesting. To train fleas, you get like a jug, a jar, and then you put the fleas inside, and then you put a cover on top, right? And the fleas jump up and down, right? So what will happen is they'll jump out up and down, and they will hit their heads on the top, right? So after 3 days, you take the lid off. What normally should happen is the fleas would jump out of the jar. But because they've hit their head so many times, they don't even bother jumping till a limit, if that goes beyond that. So even though they can escape, their mindset has created an invisible barrier to imagine there's something on top but there isn't there anymore. So they will never jump out. But what's even more amazing, that if fleas actually had children and procreated, those fleas would actually only jump to the limit that the other elder fleas are jumping to. They wouldn't even go beyond. And they've never even hit themselves on the top of the barrier that was once there. So it's like the generations of this mental block that they had went down to the next generation. And it's the same thing with us, right? We put mental barriers in our brain to stop us achieving certain things. So that's, that was a key thing, a part of it. Now, one thing, a huge part when it comes down to having and developing a warrior mindset. So number one is all about having the mindset that, you know what, I'm going to crush it no matter what, right? The second thing is you're going to have breakdowns. Like, in my training series and not my training, like with my regime, about 2 weeks ago, I had a big breakdown where, I wasn't pushing myself. I was being lazy in the gym. I was telling my trainer, like, can I do less? And I wasn't giving it my all. And, it was a nice summer's day, a hot day. The ice cream van came. I bought my son a nice ice cream and he didn't want it afterwards. And I just thought a little lick won't mind. And I ended up eating the whole thing. Now, for some of you, might think it's just an ice cream, right? But for me, it was way more than that. It was the first time in like a month or two where I had broken my integrity in what I'd committed to do, right? And then I knew something's wrong, right? And then I knew that I'm having a breakdown and I need to transform that into a breakthrough. So really, I just took a step back. I realized I'm exhausted. I took a step back. I gave myself an extra day of just of not training, and I recovered. And the next week I was fully there. But my reason why I'm saying this is a lot of us are going to have breakdowns in life whenever we want to achieve our goals. Like, for example, you've got business goals. You might have failed in your business numerous times and you might just feel like giving up. But when you've made that decision, giving up is never an option, right? It's never going to be an option. It never can be an option. So the point being is that you have to commit and really just strive to yourself to the level where it's like you're so immersed into it, you can't get out. Like, for example, a lot of the times I want to quit my training regime, right? But I'm training every day. My instructor's there, my eating plan's there. I've pushed it on social media that I'm doing this to the level that even if I want to quit, I can't now. It's like death or either do it or you're dead type of thing. I know if I were to quit now, I would I just wouldn't be able to hack it for myself. I would just feel, I'll go into depression, right? So for me, it's not an option, yeah? So point being is, that's the key thing. So, the main thing is, what are your goals, right? Make a clear decision. Where do you want to be financially? Where do you want to be in your health or any other area of your life? Number 2, find a clear plan of action on how to get those results. And number 3, commit to it and literally push yourself every single day consistently to get out and actually go about achieving those results, inshallah. And you need to become a warrior and a beast. It needs to become in your mind. And I'll give you a final quick story before we go into some Q&A, right? A lot of us, and in fact, let me jump into this story, right? Some of you might have heard it, but for me, it was like really, really powerful. There was a lion that was born, a baby lion. And the mum and the dad lion were sitting there looking at this lion that was just born. And at that time, what happened is some people came and went to kill these lions. So the mother was killed. And the father quickly chucked the baby cub into the bushes, right? And the father lion was then killed as well. So this baby, he's barely even opened its eyes, has just not even been born. And obviously these poachers, they went away, the lions were killed, and this baby's there all by itself. And then what happened? Some sheep came. Bah, bah. Some sheep came and walked in, and they saw this lion, this baby lion. So they took it on themselves to look after this baby lion. So, they gave it what it's needed, and this baby lion started growing, started becoming bigger, until it became a big lion. So it used to walk around, and you know what it used to say? Bah, bah. So all the sheep around used to go, bah, bah, and this lion used to go and say, bah, bah. So one day they were just out in the fields, and a pack of lions came. And this pack of lions were hungry. They were hungry. They wanted to go and eat. They looked at these sheep and they thought, we are going to devour these sheep. So these sheep came these lions came and they devoured all the sheep. They ripped them up. They started eating them in front of this lion's face. And they came up to this lion and he's like, what are you doing? And the lion's like, bah, bah. And they're like, what are you doing? And one of the lions, the fiercest of them all, slapped him in his face. He's like, what are you doing? Do you not realize who you are? And he's like, bah, bah. And he got him and he went and put his face near the water. And the lion looked at himself and he realized, hold on, I'm not a sheep. I'm actually a lion like them. But mentally, he's been a sheep so long, he just couldn't hack it. He's like, no, I'm a sheep. And he said, the lion, this big fierce lion said, eat this meat of the sheep. He goes, no, that's my family. I can't eat my family. And he just shoved it in his mouth. And for the first time, this lion tasted blood. For the first time, this lion realized who he is. So for the first time, he just, instead of saying ba ba, he went roar, and he realized what his identity is. He became a lion, right? And the point that I want you to take from this story is that how many of us were born into an environment, into a social environment of people and places and whatnot, where we see ourselves as just lions, as sheep, right? We just follow everyone else. We just follow everyone else. We just do everyone else. We're trying to seek approval from other people, trying to always look good. And we just we just look weak and we act weak. We're just like sheep, right? But realize we weren't created for sheep. Realize that there is a power that Allah has created within us to achieve amazing things and really, shape the universe. Allah has created us to be able to shape the universe. The potential is huge if you imagine it and if you go out and take action and create it. So now is the time to start seeing yourself as a lion, as a warrior, rather than just a sheep. And a lot of it, as mentioned, comes from, it comes from our past. It comes from, the condition. For example, I used to get bullied a little bit when I was a kid. I used to get told I was stupid. We have a past where, it created who we are today, where we have beliefs we're not good enough or we're weak or we're this, that. The past is irrelevant. The past does not equal the future. So now if the past is irrelevant, it's empty, it's meaningless, the next thing is, if the past is gone, what do you want to create from a future for us? What is your future for us? What is it that you want to achieve and create? So what is the identity for you? And the identity that I want to recommend and suggest that you take from this very short live Facebook video / podcast, if you listen to it afterwards, is become a warrior. Get clear on your goals, get clear on what you want to achieve in life, and go out and actually dominate and destroy whatever it is that you want to achieve, inshallah. Consistent training, for me, my suggestion is try to do it every single day. Honestly, just commit to it. Not every single day, even at least, the weekdays, minimum 3 times a day. For me, the training wasn't too difficult and committing to that, right? The most difficult thing for me was the diet. There's clean eating and there's a diet. And for me, it was so difficult to really go through that transition. I've got a huge sweet tooth. I'm I'm in a position where, I love chocolate cakes and all that stuff, right? And for me to cut that all out of my life was difficult. And really the first week when I went through my diet, I emotionally and mentally was just drained. And it was so difficult. I had to start cooking. I hate cooking, and I had to sit there preparing these meals for hours and hours. And that was for me the most difficult part. But, I committed to it. And, alhamdulillah, what you realize is when you commit to something, it becomes easier. The second time, the third time. So, alhamdulillah, the first week I started my training was difficult. The second time, the third week, the fourth week is just getting easier. So, last 2 weeks, my trainer, who's a competitive bodybuilder, he was away. And I had another trainer who's actually a pro boxer, and he's got a completely different training regime, which completely killed me. The first week was so difficult, and the second week was a lot easier. I was actually able to compete it, right? So, point being is that, whatever difficulty you might have, realize that it's the first time you do it is going to be difficult, but after that it's going to become more and more easy. Like first week you go to the gym is always your hardest, right? But give it a solid month and you'll start getting used to it, and it will start becoming a lot easier, inshallah. Whenever I go to my mum's house and there's a dinner, I bring my own packed lunch, right? I remember going to somebody's house to just congratulate them because they had a baby, and they specially bought pizza for me, and I said sorry but I can't eat it, and they put it on my plate. They said you have to eat it, and I was about to eat it, but then I said I'm sorry, do you know what, I can't eat it, right? And I had to make a bit of an excuse, but point being is I just did it. I just committed to it, and there's no options for me. So alhamdulillah. It's very difficult to, so Raiz Ahmed Khan says, it's very difficult to maintain a strong mindset for a long period. You lose it after some time. Any tips on how to keep motivated? I agree with you, bro. Like for me, you know, I've had my breakdowns, which is why I mentioned this to you. You know, I've had breakdowns and I'm gonna have breakdowns. But the most important thing is picking yourself up. So really, if you're in that position, you know, give yourself a break. Your mouth is bleeding, or is it my screen? No, I think my mouth's bleeding for some reason. When it comes down to you having breakdowns, just take a step back, have a break, have a bit of a holiday, and inshallah from there, you know, like give yourself a few days to recover and then jump back into it. If you're struggling in business, for example, give yourself a few days to just, you know, watch TV or something productive or something. Just take yourself away from it and then go and jump into it, inshallah. I don't know why that is so random. My mouth never bled. I think I'm turning into a lion. I'm turning into a lion. See? I've been eating this. I'm really like eating lion stuff. I'll tell you something really funny, yeah? So I went to get my meat, and you know, the guy who I got my meat from, he's like a teenage boy, and he was like shocked, why am I getting so much meat? And obviously I told him, you know, it's for my eating, it's for my training. And he goes, you know, how do I bulk up? And I was telling him, you know, you need to just go and start training and stuff like that, yeah? And you know what he said? He goes, I don't have time for that, which is the number one excuse that anybody has, yeah? I don't have time. It's like a trump card, yeah? Like, you know, I've said the time thing, therefore I can't do anything. But in reality, anybody can make time for anything, right? If it's important to you. If, like I said, this is the reason why you really have to decide and make a decision with integrity. You know, for that perspective, you know, if you really were to decide, you'll make time. So for example, for me, somebody gave me the nickname Abu Naum, right? And what that basically means is the father of sleeping. The reason why is because I used to sleep a lot. Whenever I travel, I would need to sleep. Whether I'm at like a retreat, I would be the one sleeping the most. If I was on itikaf, I would sleep the most. And it was like a thing for me where I needed minimum 8 hours. Otherwise, I would get like migraines and stuff, right? So what happened is that I made the decision that I'm going to cut down my sleeping. And, you know, it was the most difficult thing ever. But alhamdulillah, from like literally, I managed to cut my sleeping from, you know, waking up at, you know, whatever time to waking up at 5 in the morning at Fajr, right? Like today I woke up at Fajr time. I'm in the building in my office before anyone else, and I'm grinding and working, and then I still make time for the gym, and then I still make time for family. And the point being is that, you know, if you're saying you work and you know you're struggling to put time in for your business, it's about just managing your time. Look at, you know, put your time in your slot. Say, you know, in this time I'm at work, or I need maybe 1 or 2 hours of just relaxation time with family, but this time here, or on a Saturday and Sunday, I'm working on my business, or I'm going to the gym or whatever, right? So I'm telling you, you know, this is like vital. You need to be able to learn to manage your time effectively. How do you start your day? Waking up, best methods. All right. So when I wake up, the first thing obviously you want to do is pray Fajr and stuff like that. It's good to have a shower if you can as well, because, you know, physically you'll be in a different state. Number 3, you know, go down and drink some water. Your body's obviously dehydrated. So, you know, also prepare your clothes and stuff the night before. But, you know, you drink some water, have a nice, good, solid, healthy breakfast. And I know some people like to do a little bit of exercise, like even a trampoline, but get yourself in state. Sometimes I like to listen to motivational things. And then what I do in the beginning of the week is I literally plan out my whole week. So I look at what do I need to do in all my businesses, what do I need to do in my health, what do I need to do in my family, what do I need to do in my deen actions. I plan out my whole week, and then on a Monday I go into the office and I make sure that all the people in the team have a clear plan for their week as well, right? And then through the week I try to achieve at least 3 things a day. I put down 3 things a day that I'm just going to complete, and then after that, the week on a Friday, I review what was done, what wasn't done, and things like that, right? So those are the kind of overview on how I kind of make my day. But for me, time is vital. Every second of your life, realize that your life is ticking away. Yeah, everyone's life's ticking away. We have this precious opportunity here. Let's not make the most of it. Let's not make the most of it. Let's make the most of it. Let's really push ourselves as much as possible. Like if you're in the car, a lot of people travel around and just loiter around. Listen to something positive. Like Hamza, we've started this podcast. Download that. If you're not a part of the Muslim Entrepreneur Network members site, join that. We've got a whole audio series and podcast series that you can start consuming and learning straight away, right? So if you want to join that, go to muslimenetwork.com. You can download. You can get a whole month's free access. Muhammad Hussein Malik says, are you available for mentorship? Unfortunately not now, but if you go to muslimenetwork.com, you can join for a whole month free. It's got all of our events, all of our talks, other inspirational interviews, and start consuming amazing knowledge on a daily basis, and that will really help you immerse yourself in that and develop that powerful mindset, right? If you're not immersed, and you need to be able to develop yourself. Like, I'll give you a really powerful story. So there was this guy who basically was a woodcutter, and he got very, very old. So he was cutting wood, and he was able to cut like 20 trees down every single day. And he was getting old, so he needed like somebody to come in and take over his job for him. And there was this young boy that came, and he says, how many woods do you do a day? Trees do you do a day? And he said, I do 20. And he said, do you know what? I'll do 20 as well. And the man says, do you know what? There's nobody that's ever been able to do 20 trees a day. I don't think you'll be able to do it. And he said, just watch me, I'll do it. So because of his enthusiasm, he said, you know what? Come on, let me bring this guy on board. So this young guy went out, got the trees, cut it, boom, boom, boom. The first day he got 15. Next day he tried even harder, boom, boom, boom. He got 18. And then, he went to the guy and he said, I'm doing well, right? And he goes, you're going to have to push yourself harder. So this young guy said, I'm going to push myself even harder. I'm going to do even more. So he went out, he spent more time, he put more effort in, but something very strange happened. The day after, he got 15 trees. And then the day after that, he got 13 trees. And he's like, what's happening? Let me try even harder. So he spent the whole day, he didn't have no breaks. He worked over hours, and he got 10 trees. And he went to the older man and he said, listen, I've been working like crazy. I've been over pushing myself, but I'm cutting less and less. Even though I'm working more, I'm achieving less results. And he said, show me your axe. And he looked at his axe and he says, it's not sharp. It's become rounded. It's not even going to cut anything. And he realized why, even though he was putting more effort in, why he wasn't able to cut less trees. And that is very similar to our lives, right? We are not sharpening the saw. And what I mean by sharpening the saw is sharpening your mind, consuming knowledge and information that is gonna make you like a somebody that's just gonna go out and just completely crush things, right? Often we need to develop ourselves. We need to develop ourselves mentally with knowledge and motivational and inspirational stories. And we need to do that on a consistent basis. We need to sharpen ourselves from a health perspective. Like, as I said, health is wealth. So you need to be healthy. You need to be focusing on developing yourself mentally, spiritually, from a health perspective all the time. So for those of you that are not on the journey of personal development, start buying books, start listening to podcasts, start listening to audios, start listening to YouTube videos, and really think about, what is an area of my life that I want to really develop in. Like somebody said, he can't fit in the time and for business and work. Do a time management program. If you're shy or something, or you want to get out there more, learn how to become, develop your personality more to connect with people. right? And so on and so forth. Ask yourself, what is the areas that you want to develop the most in? And that's what you need to go and do, inshallah. So what is the last thing you do before going to bed? I don't really do much, to tell you the truth, but some people like to write like journals and just look at what went well in the day, what didn't go so great, and stuff like that. It's good to kind of like plan for tomorrow as well if you can, and just get everything completed before you go to bed, because you don't want to sit in bed and think so much. You want to just give yourself that space, and inshallah just go to bed, and you should have exhausted yourself that time that you sleep straight away, type of thing. So if you go to bed and you're like struggling to sleep, reduce your sleeping hours, put more effort and more work in, and when you do go to bed, you'll go to sleep a lot quicker. And another thing that I would really highly recommend you download on your phone is something called Sleep Cycle. It's a really cool app. Let me just show it to you. So this is an app that literally tracks your sleeping, right? So as you can see, I don't know if you can see it here. What you can see is, okay, I need to move it a little bit, that I went to bed quite late yesterday, around 11:30, and I knocked out to sleep, and it shows me when I'm in my deepest sleep and when I'm awake and when I'm in like mid sleep. And then it shows when I woke up here at 5:30. Now the reason why this is a really amazing app, because it wakes you up like an alarm clock when you're in your period of your sleep cycle, when you're the most awake. Like if you've ever woken up from an alarm clock and you feel really, really groggy and really, really tired and exhausted, what normally happens is you feel tired and exhausted and you feel groggy, yeah? And that affects your whole day. The reason why is because you woke up when you were in a deep sleep, okay? But if you download this app, it wakes you up when you're in your period of a light sleep, because your sleep throughout the night, you're going a deep sleep, light sleep, deep sleep, light sleep. So it'll wake you up when you're in the light sleep phase, and when you wake up, you feel fresh and it's amazing. So even though you have less sleep, you feel way more amazing and a lot more awake, right? Last question from Ozzy. Salam bro, how do you de-stress and relax? So what I like to do is, after my training, obviously I train 5 times a week, and on the Friday, when it's completely empty, I go to like the swimming pool area in the gym and the jacuzzi. So I'm literally just laying down in the jacuzzi by myself, just relaxing, closing my eyes, and I'm just completely just relaxing, seeing what went well in the week, and whatnot. There's sauna, steam rooms and things like that. So if you do have access to things like that, then I would highly recommend it. If you don't, sometimes I like to go to areas that are really high up, like hills and stuff, and really like nice scenic places of nature. And that really helps you distress as well, inshallah. Alright, Jazakallah khair. Love you. I'm going to leave you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.